Immersion is a measure of the level of involvement or investment of the player in the gameplay and story within the game world. It's similar to the involvement in the storyline and the willing suspension of disbelief experienced in books and movies. Virtual reality artists have coined the term presence to describe this involvement. The greater the sense of connection the game can evoke in a player, the greater the degree of presence achieved. In considering immersion, we're going to use the SCI scale proposed by Laura Ermi and Franz Mehrer. They break immersion into three types: sensory, challenge, and imaginative immersion. Sensory immersion refers to the audio and visual impact of the game on the player. Good sensory immersion will see players focus closely on the game world and the gameplay action. As well as the inherent graphics and audio of the game, hardware can be used to create an increased sense of sensory immersion. For example, flight simulators are normally restricted to a limited cockpit view of about 60 degrees. In order to simulate the 360-degree view enjoyed by real-world pilots, players can use a sensor system like TrackIR to track their head movements and pan the view accordingly. Another solution is to use multiple monitors like this Matrox triple head-to-go system to provide a wider front view. Players can even use articulated cockpits which respond to joystick control inputs to simulate the motion of flying. Even leaving flight simulators behind, sensory immersion is one of the driving factors behind the development of motion controllers for the Wii, Xbox 360 and PlayStation. However, while these are all designed to aid in sensory immersion, the main input must still come from the game itself. Imaginative immersion considers the involvement of the player in the narrative of the game, or the enjoyment of exploring the game world. 1993 title Myst is a good example of a game which creates excellent imaginative immersion.
I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse. I've tried to speculate where it might have landed. I must admit, however, such conjecture is futile. Still, questions about whose hands might one day hold my Myst book are unsettling to me. I know my apprehensions might never be allayed, and so I close, realizing that perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
Players are dropped into the game with almost no story at all. The game uses a book metaphor, and the players piece together the backstory of the game as they recover the book pages found while exploring the game's areas, or ages. The storyline in Myst is complex, and many players found it addictive, spending long play sessions piecing together the story and exploring the game world. As well as having an involving story, Myst is also a challenging puzzle game. Players must solve a series of puzzles to access different areas of the game world and uncover more of the story. Challenge immersion is a measure of the enjoyment and satisfaction players feel in overcoming gameplay obstacles or solving puzzles.
Catherine, my love, I have to leave quickly. Something terrible has happened. It's hard for me to believe. Most of my books have been destroyed.
This type of immersion is best when gameplay difficulty is closely matched to player skill. If a game is too easy, it doesn't present a challenge. Too hard, and it can be frustrating. In Myst, there were no difficulty settings, and many players either did not finish the game or had to resort to walkthroughs for help. Modern challenge immersion games like Angry Birds address this by allowing players to choose a level of gameplay difficulty. Challenge immersion games often feature a progression of difficulty, with each level of the game presenting the player with an increased level of challenge. If you've ever experienced just one more level in a game like Angry Birds, or battled to earn that third star on a level, this is challenge immersion. In summary, immersion is the level of involvement of the player in the game. We have identified three main mechanisms which work to create this immersion. Sensory immersion, the impact of the audio, visuals and gameplay on the player. Imaginative immersion, the enjoyment of the unfolding story and exploration of the game world. And challenge immersion, the desire of the player to overcome the gameplay challenges.